Hey, look. It's okay. It's okay.
Bop.
It's okay.
Bop if you got it. Bop if you got it. Well, we are here again for another episode of What is the Purpose?
What a purpose.
Dad's Unscripted. I am Russ.
I'm Dizzle.
Chris.
And we're here to bless you with our thoughts, opinions, notions, philosophies, jokes, comedic timing. We're just here, ready to vibe out and rock out for you guys.
What episode is this? Episode 3?
Episode 3.
What?
Yes.
My goodness. That would to know where we came from with episode 1 being incubated for so long and really like, okay, can we do this? Are we gonna do this? Now episode 3.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what?
Cheers.
Cheers to you guys.
I ain't got nothing to cheers with.
Empty glass is okay.
Empty
We just
glass.
need the cling.
Yeah.
We just need the
Cling, cling, cling.
You know what they say about cheersing an empty glass?
What does it say?
I thought you know.
You tell me. You tell me.
You never had an empty glass.
I might. Listen, like man, there's stories we can tell on this. So I'm not a big drinker. So I will, as they say, as the odd man say, I'll nurse that glass the whole entire night because that's just I don't do well in not being in control or being able to manage my emotions and like being drunk and all that stuff. Like I can't do that. I don't do that. I know people are all like, yo, we're gonna get shit faced tonight. No, I can't do it. I can't. That's not me. You'll never hear that. So I don't even know what you're saying with the empty glass. What does it say?
No,
you just said.
Yeah, the same.
He don't know either.
I don't know. I have no idea.
That was the whole point. The whole point is like, I don't know. I thought you would know because I never have an empty glass.
Fair enough. But we made the If you know that reference, you know that reference. We talked about this off camera that we got to have more available because we didn't have as much. Like last episode we had more than enough, but coming here tonight, I didn't get to re-up. So that's on me. I apologize. I apologize. I'll be mindful. We live and learn. Listen, man, it's
what's
all
not
about
important is not our concern.
Yo, trust me. Coming up to this episode, there's we have a lot of conversations, or we have a lot of dialogue, or there's a lot of things that we should have looked at, but it didn't happen, and we're all busy. That's the whole point. Like. It's Dad's Unscripted for real because we don't know, like when this episode comes out or whenever an episode comes out, we could have a plan, which we always endeavor to. Yeah. But that's why it's unscripted because we just go with the flow. Anything can happen. Anything can take place because you just never know. You never know what can happen.
It's like that quote from Tyson. I don't know the exact wording, but it's like
everybody got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yo, everybody got a plan until they get punched in the face. Tell me, like, come on. That is 100% accurate. That is 1,000% accurate.
And you know what's funny? I should have addressed this on episode 2, but I didn't. And it's good that we're here because we just talked about everybody has a plan till they get punched in the face. And I would like to say a public service announcement to anyone who found my laptop. And
you will be getting punched in the face.
No, I won't punch you in the face. You know what I mean? Just bring it back to the proper places that I can get it back. But I'm okay with the fact that it's no longer here.
To preface this, episode 1, he had a laptop with everything that we had on that laptop.
Yes.
And he lost said laptop.
Could not find said laptop after leaving recording.
I still can't find said laptop.
Okay.
Yeah. So everything was on it. I spent 2 to 3 hours editing overnight. Got the edits done. Was like, okay, it's a week after Father's Day. I'ma bang this out. Yeah. And then I lost the laptop.
Yeah. Just know that you better be hungry because there's a knuckle sandwich.
I won't even say they stole the laptop. I just lost the laptop.
You know what that is?
What's that?
It's responsibility right there.
It is responsibility.
That's responsibility right there. You took accountability as much as the other person won, as far as, hey, I got a free laptop.
Yeah.
You're taking responsibility that not someone stole it. But
I lost it,
which is big.
It, you know? And it was wild because it felt like, you know, I lost my child for a little bit. You know what I mean? Because there's
a lot of information,
a lot of information on it. There's a lot of documents. There was documents. There was creative things and processes that was going through. But the one thing that remained true is that episode 1 needed to go out because there was the backup.
You had
the memory cards were not wiped. The SD cards that were in the cameras were not wiped.
Yeah.
They were still on them. And then they enabled me to
still get a hold of it.
Get all of the audio, video, edit it.
You are appreciated, Ross. So, you are appreciated because that would have required a kick down. Me and D would have hold you down and kick you down. Bad.
Yeah, you know.
Then bring you to the doctor and get you all repaired and everything.
Checked out because that would have been.
Yeah, that would have been painful.
Yo, the part that's funny though is that after we recorded and everybody was saying their farewells and whatever, you actually left the laptop, and I was the one that had to be like, "Yo, brother, come back for this, man. Yo, you left this. Come back for this." So you'd have been better off leaving it here.
Yeah, 1,000%.
I should have kept my mouth shut.
Left it here.
I should have kept my mouth shut. And be like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna go drive back for this still.
Yeah, it would have been a whole.
It would have been better off.
Because then at least that moment would have been like, all right, now I got to keep you tight.
Jeez.
But hey, at the end of the day, episode 1 was out. Y'all gave us y'all feedback, you know, so it was great to be in that space to actually get it out. Because again, we go back to that. We all have a plan.
So you get punched in the face.
And I got punched right in my face.
Punched hard.
Yeah, I was a big punch. I wobbled for a bit. I did the stanky leg for a second, and I was like, all right, get yourself together and think.
Oh my gosh. I wasn't even fully aware that you lost it. I just, I put it together after. I'm like, yo, you lost? What do you mean you lost it?
Yeah.
But kudos to you for being responsible, and you seem in fairly decent spirits.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of like a reset, creative reset, you know, because maybe the direction I was going, the universe is telling me that, hey, this is where focus here.
To refocus your purpose.
Yeah.
And figure out what the purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, what's the purpose? We're here together again, and we're doing it. And that's the blessing in it all. You know, I got punched in my face, did the stanky leg, came back to and was like, ooh, I got a purpose, and this is the purpose. So welcome back to all our viewers, our listeners. It's great to have you.
Appreciate it.
Of course.
We thank you for your feedback because we are here to grow and to develop and to bring community and spread, you know,
enlightenment.
Yeah, enlightenment and the revolution that, you know, dads are here. You know, I got a quick question, and I was thinking about it recently, and I was like, what is the difference between dads then and dads now? Have we evolved, or are we the same? Or what holds weight and what is true now versus then? You know, it would be a great conversation to have with some older heads in the future to be like, how do you see it differently? But for right now, what do you guys feel is the difference in, I guess, your upbringing to where you are now as parents leading into the new gen?
Honestly, I'll definitely say, like, fathers nowadays are more hands-on.
There are more hands-on.
More hands-on. Yeah,
I would
hands-on fathers.
Preface it that way. There's more hands-on fathers. Not everyone is.
Not everyone is.
There's more hands-on fathers.
Yeah.
I would definitely say that.
Sure.
For your question, that's a really good question, and it's interesting because I've listened to, as you said, older heads or more mature men who have children who there could be grandfathers or great grandfathers now, and having listened to them, the feedback that I got was, it was a different, they always start at, boy, it was a different time when me did a youth, and all me really have to do I just work and bring home money, and everything else kind of, for the most part, just handle itself, right? We are in a beautiful time now, which is the information age, where information is so readily available that as new age fathers, that's what I would classify us. That we can get information readily available to us, whether it be through our phone, through our other respective devices, and get that information, take that information in, process it, analyze it further, reflect, and then act. For the older generation, like I remember a year ago or 2 years ago, I went, my cousin's birthday, we went to the cottage, and we were there talking around the campfire, and I made the statement of like, yeah, man, it would have been great if my dad, whatever, right? And one of my cousins looked at me and said, "How you beg for? Yeah, ask them man they figure do that. Think about that. Them man then like what's available now. As far as information and how to be more supportive of your kids and be more mindful of your kids and all that stuff. That information wasn't readily available. If it was through books, not through just the different media that's available now, right? And those fathers would have never, like I remember, to this day, rest in peace to my dad, but I don't remember seeing him like pick up a book and like read and stuff. I'm not saying that he didn't, but as the reference of, even in my household now, I try and actively read with my kids or read around them. Easier said than done.
True.
But I actively try to do it so that the example is there. Versus from my upbringing, that wasn't something that was readily there. So is there a difference? I think there's a tremendous difference.
There's a lot more information too that's available. Like just as far as like you can watch everything simplified. Like you can watch something on YouTube and like learn something in 3 minutes. Where they're just giving you the chunks and the full piece. Obviously, like how good you can do it is gonna vary, but like there's certain people who you can give them the gist and they can figure it out. When it comes to like raising your children, that in itself is you're never really ready. You're always kind of just learning as you go because every child's different. So you gotta learn. It's not even like raising just children; it's raising your child, right? So that's just a different perspective to have. But like at those times, like there was different societal norms, right? Like whereas like men weren't necessarily looked at to take care of the kids. You know what I'm saying? It
Take
was
care was to just be the disciplinarian.
To be there. Just be there. Just come home at the end of the night and
just there.
Be there, be in the house where you're providing. To be honest, they were providing something, like they were providing safety. You know what I'm saying? They were providing financially, of course. Financially and certain other things that like now it's not.
The difference is bigger now.
And now it's like that's not societal
standards.
It's not accepted. Like it's like you gotta be doing more. Like like just in general. Right? Like you gotta be raising your kids and reading to them and teaching them, and this just being there is not enough. Right. Like
there's more involvement now.
To be honest, it was never really enough because there's a lot of kids who you talk to, like older obviously, who are men now and have their own kids and they realize like my dad didn't. I would have been better off had my dad sat down and
reason with me and everything.
Taught
like that.
me this or said this to me or took me out and threw the ball around with me or whatever, right? So like kids are definitely better off nowadays because you definitely do realize the impact fathers have. Like just based off of how like the world works, because you truly get to see like when a father's not. There's a saying like fatherless activity And that's fatherless activity that this so and so is displaying right now, you know? And like you can kind of see like as much as people may not want to admit it, you can kind of see when someone didn't grow up with their father. It's kind of like you can see that, right? Like you know, so just the difference now is that societal norms are different. You know, and it's better off for the kids. It's better off for the parents too, because as a father, like when you the joy you actually get from like imparting knowledge on your child. Like, you know, when you speak to them and you see them not only like taking the information, but later on down the line when you see them kind of like, oh, you heard me.
They're applying it.
They're applying it. Like, yo, you know, it's a great feeling, you know. So yeah.
The thing that's interesting, there was a post, I think it was based on a study that ties in differently than what you're expressing, because it's mentioned how important is the role of the father and everything like that, or you know, like, hey, what determines the real success of a family and all that type of stuff. And the person replied very quickly like, oh, the presence of a father. Right. And they said, you know what, that's a very important role, but the thing that they went on to express was the mental health or the overall health or happiness of the mother. Because if the mother is happy or able to have a fruitful or prosperous family life and everything is balanced as best as possible, then the outcome of the children are going to be even better off. Which then my understanding of that at that time was like, okay, so the role of the father is even more important in this day and age, because for ladies who are either currently mothers or wives, or who are aspiring to be mothers and wives, it's a different time now where you have to now go out and you're working your employment, you're working, or you're having a business that you're operating, you're managing a household, you're trying to stay connected to your friends, and like it's a lot. It's a lot to do with those reels that show all the things you're trying to do, and then you see the person you see the person's trying to like, oh, I can barely keep it together. It's a real thing. I get it. Especially for ladies who naturally, ladies are givers, like they want to be giving of themselves in some capacity. And the role of the father or the husband or the man really ties in to being there to support the woman as best as possible so that she ultimately can be the best version of herself, versus if it's just a single mom. Because whether it be through community involvement or different organizations I've been a part of, to see where single mothers, it's a lot of work. Like as dads here, when you have to deal with your kids for either the whole day or a portion of the day, and then you have to put them to bed. But even before you put them to bed, you got to go feed them, dress them. You got to go through that whole process, still then clean up the house after. Tired is base level. Like you're like, there's the physical tiredness, but then there's also that mental tiredness. That it's a lot. It is a lot. It's a lot to deal with.
I commend the mothers out here.
I definitely commend the
moms and all that. Like,
agreed.
It's a lot.
Especially when the stay-at-home moms are able to create a system and like stick to it. That's where it's like, ooh.
And not only just the stay-at-home moms, but the stay-at-home moms who are happy at the end of the day when their husband gets home. Because their mood, like that mood, like your wife's mood at the end of the day is so important to a man's mental well-being.
Right. His own peace.
Because like if you come in and she's all grumpy, like
like, oh, you're finally here. Okay, take these kids, do this, do that. So,
it's like, oh, geez, Louise. You know, like, but if you come in and she's able to hold it together, even just expressing how she's like, kids are a lot today, and she can express that too, and like, but somehow come out of that like funk and be like, okay, you know, whatever. It's definitely important to a man's mental health.
Right. The peace. It's different. To answer your question in the simplest way, it is way different. It is way different. Like, we're examples of that. I think all three of us here are big examples that we can respectively think of our own fathers, our own upbringing, and to know that, okay, wow, I am definitely making or taking different strides than my father, that I'll even take the moment right now and give kudos to you guys. I'll give kudos to you because it is definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Versus to what D said is like, yo, they're just there.
Yeah.
We're not just there. Like, we're actively part of the growth process.
Everyday process.
Everyday process. From the cooking, the cleaning, the interaction, the extracurricular, still making time for yourself as best as possible. I mentioned that on episode 2, the strategic management of your time. Like, you got to be strategic. You got to figure out, okay, how do I get this done? How do I make sure I manage my time over here? How do I get this done as far as still making sure that my time with myself is good, giving myself the attention? Because the one thing that I have learned as time has progressed, if I'm not good, it's difficult for anything else to be good.
Yeah, fair.
I got to make myself a priority. As tough as that is, and you know, and I think as men, funny enough, we do that really well as a way of, like, we compartmentalize things, right? So if I'm not at work, or if I'm not playing ball, or if I'm not dealing with this, that's not on my mind. I'm dealing with what I'm dealing with in that moment. So it's like, okay, when I need to deal with this is what I need to deal with. All right, you know what, man? Self-care. Yeah, I need to definitely give some attention to self-care. And self-care comes in a lot of different ways. We talked about this on episode 2 for camping. Like, I've recognized that self-care, and you mentioned it too, it's like a retreat. Because it's all men coming together, proper planning, to have the site set up, to have the proper accommodation. Everybody brings the right amount of food. We have everything set up, and we are in an environment that is safe. And I'm not talking physical safety as far as, like, oh, there's animals. I'm talking that's like, hey, you can take a breath right now. Like, you're not on the ball. You don't have to be on the ball as far as, like, okay, what's happening right now? What needs to happen here? What needs to happen there? And, you know, do it in that way. That in itself is already a difference maker. That in itself is already a huge difference maker as far as what the previous generation did as to now. Because I know I'm actively involved in the quote unquote calendar of our life versus when, you know, fathers before it was like, what me have to do? What am I do? Okay, all right, me gone. Oh, me go pick them up. They're not as actively involved. For us, there's a active, like, okay, hey, this is what's happening here. This is what's taking place here.
And it's a greater evolution. I feel like it's happening, and a revolution in itself. And I know when you look at, like, social media and the quote unquote movements or what's happening, it's dads get a bad rep in some way, shape, or form. We had a whole era of the bad dads, the promotion of the bad dads. You know what I mean? Like, let's think about it. Let's think about the things that we used to watch, the Homer Simpsons, the Peter Griffins. They were like the promotions of the bad dad. But for some reason, our generation still took that and flipped it. Like, for I guess, preface it in the right way, the generation of men that I've surrounded myself with have taken it in a different way, shape, or form. I give kudos to those who are married, and I give kudos to, you know, guys who shared my experience of being the single father and co-parenting, and doing it on your own. And I commend the women who are out there doing it on their own. You know what I mean? Because it's definitely challenging to be that present and still be, and sure, we have our moments of lapses of emotions and outbursts, but we learn from it and grow from it. I think as a man who grew up in Jamaica and grew up in the climate that we grew up in, I remember having like a hard conversation with my son and getting home and like apologizing to him of how I handled the situation, and then shedding tears And then when he spoke to his mom about it and she spoke to me, she's like, he told me about it. And I was like, I never seen you cry. And I was like,
yeah, the environment opened it for
man,
you.
it's
Man,
different.
you know, you gotta put more awareness on that.
You know,
Selfless, apologizing to your kids.
Yeah.
Cause
Yeah.
yo, like I realized as a kid, apologizing to your kids was not
a norm. That was.
I know a situation where sometimes my parents were dead wrong. Dead wrong, bro. And they would never like.
They were going to the grave with that one.
Yeah,
you could bring that to them now. They'd be like, no,
that didn't happen.
What's the term? Wrong and strong. They're wrong and strong on that one. They are not apologizing. They're not saying, oh, what I did was wrong or this and that. Because I can relate to that. I can relate to the having to say, my bad. I apologize.
You know,
like yo, one time
I didn't handle that properly.
Yo, this might not be funny. It's funny in my head, so I'm gonna try and give it the rationale.
Yeah.
We're at my kid's grandparents, and my second daughter is like, "Daddy, can I get pineapple juice, please?" And I had already looked in the fridge, and to my knowledge, pineapple was done. There was no pineapple juice in there. And she's like, Daddy, there's pineapple juice in there. Yes, there's pineapple juice. And I'm like, there's no pineapple juice in there. And I kind of lost my cool. And as a result, her mom heard me and she's like, what's going on? And I'm like, she has pineapple juice. I don't know why she don't listen to me. Da, da, da. And she go in the fridge and look for the pineapple juice. It was behind something. It wasn't visible. When I tell you, man, you know that whole adage like dog with the tail between them legs, yo? I had to be like, yo, all right, I'm sorry. I apologize. And she took the part that I can appreciate, but she was also young. So I'm praying that as they get older, they'll maintain that level of humility. Like, okay, Daddy, I understand. Sorry. Or, thank you for apologizing.
Yeah.
So I had to like catch myself. And the part that was funny, it was like my father-in-law was like, "Boy, I said, the boy I'd get so mad before, but why? You have to reel back himself real quick. Catch up himself real quick." Because I was like, it's not in there. It's not in there. I looked, it's not in there. I wasn't upset, but I was like, what, you're going on about this thing being in there when it's not in there.
Yeah.
But it was literally like behind the thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it.
Yeah.
And I was like, and my wife looks at me and she's like,
you better dress up your
you better go apologize.
Dress up your talk.
So, and something that I learned a long time ago is like, see like how with this mic is like there's a posture to it.
Yeah.
When you're talking to your kids, you got to come right down to their level. So I go right on my knee, I call her in and I'm like, sweetheart, Daddy's very sorry. I apologize. I should not have said that. That was very inappropriate. Should not have done that. And she was, she was receptive and she was like, okay, Daddy, I understand. Da, 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 da. And that was, to your point, like she may never remember that.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I want to ask my father-in-law to tell this story years from now because he's a really great storyteller. I want to hear how he tells it because I was embarrassed, but it's what it is. It is what it is. Like, it's funny. So you're right about us as parents being able to apologize to our kids. Because I know our parents, like, wrong and strong was a word or a verb or in the dictionary, their pictures would be
not even
there.
wrong and strong, they're wrong and mighty.
Wrong and mighty. Oh my God. Wrong and mighty.
You know that wrongness has come with a few licks behind it. You know what I'm saying? They'll be wrong and still slapping you. It's like,
yo, what? And the part that's funny is that because now being a parent, like I reflect on something happened the other day and I called out one of my kids because I walked into the situation. And that's the part that's always messed up. When you walk into the situation, that means 30 or 40 or 50% of the interaction has already happened. Yeah. And you're now catching it in that moment. Yeah. So you don't know what's happening. You're trying to be like, and you're then now, all right, have to get called out. Like, no. Don't do that. Don't say that. Don't do this and this, whatever. And have to kind of catch yourself and be like, oh, crap. My bad. Sorry. Daddy this, daddy that. Like, you just have to chalk it up to that, right? You just have to chalk it up to, it is one of those situations But yeah, it's changed drastically, and it's evident. Like it's evident, and it's funny, evident in the sense of like because of the. I say this carefully. Our generation, or within the generation that we now live in, there's a softness now versus you just said our parents were wrong and mighty. That built character in us. We now have a certain level of toughness as far as like, all right, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
There's a certain toughness that we now have that we're not gonna stand for this or be about this, while for this new age, parenting of, there was a term that they were using for parenting that I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I'm not, under no circumstance am I ever going to think I'm going to be abusive to my children at any point.
Yeah.
But they need to understand outcomes and consequences.
About 100%.
That's something I never understood. So it's like, it's against the law for you to discipline your child as far as like a slap, right? But then like, if they're supposed to go out and do something in the world where I would have given them a slap for it, but it's illegal for me, the cop will beat their ass, bro. A cop will beat the crap out of my kid for doing some shit that they said if they did it around me, I couldn't give them a smack. And me giving them a smack
could avoid that.
Could have avoided
that whole thing.
It's so crazy because taboo, like, it's funny because I'm like, there's a lot of people who are they advocate for no slapping your children. And when they tell their stories, they weren't just getting a slap, they were getting abused.
Right.
So it's like, you were just getting a slap.
You're getting
abused.
Yeah.
Your parent was taking anything that they could find and slapping you. And as privileged kids, and like, we have all experienced that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think any of us hated our parents for it.
So I think it's funny that you mentioned that, because there's two sides to what you're saying that I want to bring to. There is, and TV plays up. TV has helped to bring light to these type of stuff. Whether they were real or not is fine, but you've seen those shows, whether it be movies or whatever, where the father or even the mother walks into the room and the child is there, and for no reason at all, the mom or father just slaps the kid across the head or slaps the kid across the face for no reason, no justifiable reason whatsoever. And obviously the kid is young or like so used to that's just norm for them. Yeah. Versus, I remember as a youth leaving where my aunt had a restaurant. And that's where we were supposed to get picked up from to go home. And my aunt needed something from the grocery store, and she sent my cousin and I to go get it. I should have not gone because my dad would have been picking me up very shortly. So I went with my cousin same way, did our thing, whatever. Come back, and my aunt is saying, "Oh, your father was here looking for you, and da da da." And he's not here. He had to leave. Thankfully, my mom was coming by. So my mom came by. And it's funny thinking about this now as a kid, because I'm like, I shouldn't have got slapped, because that was his mistake. But once again, wrong and mighty. So what ended up happening now is that my mom comes by, picks me up. And this is at an age where you now can carry your own key. So I had my own key, right?
Yeah.
So I now get picked up by my mom. We drive home only to see my dad outside just standing up.
Mighty.
And I'm like, yo, hold on. Why is he outside? First thing that crossed my mind is like, why is he outside like that? Because that's not his thing. His thing is like, once he gets home, he's inside and doing whatever. Only to realize he left his key at his office. So if he had picked me up, I would have had my key. We could have gone into the house, whatever. So because I was now not there, he's already stewing from leaving his key and then now adding to his, I guess, pissed offness of me not being there. This man took me into the garage, took off his belt, and like 3 turns, whap, 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 whap. And in that moment, I deserved it, because I should not ultimately, on me, I can say this now as a man. As a kid, I was not wrong. But as a man now, I should not have left. Or I should have communicated with my aunt better and find out from her, like, yo, auntie, should I go? Should I stay? Whatever. But as a youth, you don't know no different, right?
Yeah.
But I went.
But yo, hold on, wait. Wait 1 second. He's extra wrong at my Cause yo, take this in. Where did I rush to? Yo, where is he going? Man left his key at work. He was rushing to stand outside the yard. Take that in, like, yo, the man didn't wait for you to come back just so he can wait outside. Bro, the man was extra wrong and extra mighty, bro. That was crazy. It's like, yo, mighty. That's nuts.
Yo, that is wild. That is wild.
I never thought about that. Because you know what's funny? He's the same one that would say to me, you know, there's one place you can never be late to go, you know. He'd always say that to me, like, yo, when you're coming home, that's one place you can never be late to come home.
Come home, yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, that kind of makes sense. But yo, I think it was a matter like he was upset at, like, whatever. You know,
it was probably a layer of a whole other thing.
Yeah. The day, it could have been the day.
The one that was like,
I was the target in that moment.
You were the target.
I was the target, but it wasn't abuse because I can acknowledge the established principle or guideline was, hey, son, you need to be here when I am here. Which I was there and I'm waiting, but my auntie is like, oh, it's all right, so now go to the grocery, go grab something for me. And it wasn't far.
But
we're kids. We're kids. We're gonna do that, whatever. And then he came back and, you know, it's funny in hindsight, like, I'm like, man, why did my mom not say anything? But I realize, you know, ultimately now as a father, when I discipline my kids, I need that support from their mom.
For sure.
But she'll say to me after, which I don't know if that happens to you, but I get that after. Don't you think you're a little bit too hard on them?
Yeah. That happens like clockwork. But take it in. For it to have reached a slap, as a parent, okay, there's two ways I have to dissect this because for it to reach a slap, I would have talked to my kids
multiple times.
Right? Like, no. But in that situation, let's say
about myself. Sorry, I'm channeling your.
In the situation that you were in specifically, I would have been like, yo, like, why weren't you there? Blah,
asking questions,
all these things, and if they explained to me what you said, level-headedly, I would have been like, all right, you know. More times, I don't even have my key. So where am I going? I would have been in a better situation. I would have been waiting for you and pissed off. I was waiting so long.
I would agree with that.
Right? So I would have waited and been pissed off, not left. For me to be sitting outside to be more pissed off. The fact that I'm sitting outside.
I think the part that made the pissed off happen is, you know how as men, I do it. I do my check. Every time I leave my yard, I do my check. There's 4 things I need to have on me, right? If I don't have them on me, it's a problem. I need to turn back or I'm about to be miserable for wherever I'm going because I don't have it, right? That's what ended up happening. He, to my knowledge right now, and I only remember getting slapped, but I'm just piecing it all together now as an adult to try and make sense of it. To his knowledge, he had the key on him. Where he would have come in, he'd have been in the house, he would have been fine, not a problem. Like, oh, I came to pick you up, you weren't there. Thankfully, your mother was there, fine. That would have been the case. But it wasn't because he now forgot his own key.
So he beat you out of his own frustration. Which is as a parent, I realize I don't slap my kids out of frustration. I try not to. To be honest, I try not to slap my kids at all. Like I try to talk to them as much as I can to realize the talking's not working, and then we have to take it up a little notch. But like, which is maybe a slap on the leg or something like that.
Mine's squats on the wall. Or putting your head on the wall with a paper so that the paper doesn't fall.
My oldest doesn't get slapped because I can communicate that to her.
Yeah.
And she'll understand it and do exactly as I ask. My 2 younger ones, they don't get that. Like, they'll do it and think it's a joke. Yeah. And I mean, like, okay, but I can only communicate with them in another way, which is like, for them, it's like maybe a little slap on their leg or something, right? Mm-hmm. But like, when it comes to just being frustrated, like, I work nights. So a lot of the time I'm sleep deprived. So I realize that, like, I am not operating in full mental capacity.
Fear.
Right?
It's a fear assessment.
I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm not operating in a full mental capacity. Mm-hmm. So certain times I don't even deal with certain things.
Yeah.
Certain times, like, certain things happen, and I'm just like, how do I even approach this? I already know I'm not dealing with it properly because I'm sleep deprived. Mm-hmm. So whatever I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna even be upset more so at what they did. Mm-hmm. I'm just frustrated in general.
Overall.
Mm-hmm. I do my same thing with my dog. Like, sometimes, like, there'll be times I'll be training my dog will be frustrating me, and I'll get so upset. And then I talk to my wife after and be like, like, I'm not even upset with her. Like, it's more so the way I'm frustrated. Mm-hmm. And it just goes to show, like, that in itself shows just, like, development, because obviously we don't want to, like, make our kids relive the trauma that we went through. Because I'm pretty sure the amount of people that probably watch this be like, they know that their parents probably beat them out of frustration, out of something that happened at work. I was wrong, but what I did wasn't that bad. For me to get X, Y, and Z. Right? Fill in the blank, whatever it may have been. So like, I just feel like, to bring it back to our point was just like, apologizing to your kids for your mess ups ultimately makes you a better person, because then you're acknowledging your mess ups, right? You're not going out wrong and mighty.
There's growth.
Right? There's growth, because you said I was wrong
for this
reaction.
I'm going to do better. I want to incorporate this better. I agree.
And it's helping them too, because it's seeing it from the other side and hearing you say, I was wrong. Like, it gives them that perspective that it's okay to be wrong. It's okay. You can be wrong. Just know, if you wrong someone,
be responsible.
Be responsible.
This
is how you handle it.
This is how you can handle it.
Apologize. Boom. And that's it right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You move forward from an experience and then see what it develops.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
as you're mentioning responsibility, that is something that there was a reel or a bunch of posts that were put out on social media that pretty much it was tailored towards ladies, but I think even for men there is a certain balance between it when it comes to responsibility or accountability. Because it mentioned, like, okay, which would you rather? Would you rather go into this tub of, or eat this, like, it was just some outlandish thing that the ladies was asked to do, or be accountable for your behavior at this point in time, whatever. And it was meant as a joke, but it had a lot of interesting perspective. It had an interesting perspective behind it, because it doesn't just apply to ladies. Like, it applies to a lot of individuals who, like, as you said, wrong and mighty, wrong and strong. Like, they could be wrong beyond belief. And it's like, I'm wrong to the grave here. You're not going to get anything out of me as far as how to be better or do better or any of that type of stuff.
Right.
And that's one thing I can appreciate about, the synergy that we've expressed over time, of the period of time that we've respectively known each other and interacted with each other, and the growth that has happened, is knowing the responsibility that each of us have taken. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I need to communicate, I'm going to communicate. If I need to be accountable, I'm going to be accountable. Funny enough, I think, was it you called me out on it one day? Or it was a joke you were making one time? You're like, yeah, man, don't ask Chris for nothing if you're not going to follow up with him. Like, if you're not going to, like, if you say, yo, da-da-da-da, da-da-da, don't be talking to him unless you know you can deliver. Because he will almost, you didn't say cut off, but you were like, do you remember that? No, I remember you doing it like, yeah. Don't communicate anything to Chris that you know you're not gonna follow through on or follow up with. Yeah. Don't just leave it hanging out there like, oh, yo, can you do this, or yo, what's happening here? Da, da, da. Yeah, man, sure. Let's check in back in 3 weeks or 2 weeks or whatever. Let me know how it's going. Yeah. And then not do it. Because communication is very important. Like, communication is a big deal. Yeah. And that just ties, it's funny, responsibility and communication and accountability, they synergize so well together, or they should, as far as being a responsible adult. Yeah. And then that ties together with being a good man and then being a good father, that all of those things should come together. And tagging it back to your original question of, you know, what's the difference in the fathers of past, the fathers of today? Yeah. You know, social media has really created a very great opportunity for men to grow and for us to make the decision that, like, hey, I'm going to be accountable. I'm going to be responsible, and I'm going to communicate in a very appropriate way, so that I can create this really flourishing environment, not only for the mother of my children or my wife or my kids or even extended family. Because now there's getting a point where, and I'm there right now. It's interesting, having lost my father now almost 2 years, and seeing where aunts and uncles and all that type of stuff are growing older. Yeah. And just how that whole, like, wow, I'm right in the middle of it right now. I'm literally right in the middle. I'm raising my own kids. I need to be responsible there. I need to communicate with them appropriately. I need to be accountable. But then I have my extended family, my parents, my older aunts, uncles, all those stuff who now, because of the good they did for you, you want to reciprocate. Like, it's a lot. And if you are not responsible, accountable, and a good communicator, it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with, and it's not easy. And that's one thing that I'm constantly trying to just keep at the forefront of my mind, be the best version of myself, because things are going to happen that are unexpected. A big surprise. True. A lot of good will come out of life. But then at the same time, there's things that happen, things that take place, things that you don't know what's going to take place. So it all comes down to just being the better version of yourself. And that's one thing I can say, that this, you know, new age fathers, we have that, and we try to really do a good job as best as possible. And it really, you know, all comes together, and I'm all for it. I'm all for it, especially having my own tribe or my own kids that actively look up to me and think I'm, you know, a superhero. That's what they say all the time. You're like, Daddy, you're a superhero. Daddy, you're my superhero. I love you very much. You're my superhero. So that's good. I'm all for that. That was a good question, man. That was definitely a good question. It's a good way to have a discussion so that we can know how each other thinks, understand how to, you know, gain experience from each other, and, you know how to, you know, keep growing, keep moving on. For sure. Because we talked about this in episode 2, and as we're concluding for episode 3 right now, the different topics that we'll talk about, it's varied. But it's all about the growth. It's all about how to get better. How to improve, how to, you know, go about being the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
But it's funny because the name of the podcast, What's the Purpose? Dad's Unscripted, it all ties together. Because what's the purpose? We're trying to grow. But man, it is definitely not. It's not scripted. It's not scripted. I don't know how.
I don't know. You know, I think even reading books and everything else, we don't know what's the best way of truly parenting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're just doing the best that we can for what we have and what we're going to do. But that's why we're here, and that's the purpose. And I want to thank everybody who's watching and listening.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next go.
Alrighty. Thanks a lot, gentlemen.
Salute.
Have a good night. See ya.